Hello, welcome. This is Amy, the Mystic Rose Tarot. We are February 1st, Monday, 2021, and it is 6:32. I'm here to share with you a reading to bring in the energies of Imbolc, the transitioning of winter and slowly moving into spring, Ostara, which will take place late March, early April. But today is the first day of light in pagan and Wiccan traditions, where we start seeing our days being longer become more evident, and it's a day to acknowledge that it's still cold in many parts of the world, depending on what hemisphere you're in. And storms have come. Some storms are still going to be coming along. So I want to take this moment and just welcome in the light that came in today, which was just wonderful. It was overcast up here in the mountains, and I had to go on a walk because it was long overdue. We had a very nasty series of snowstorms the last week, which was very exhausting to my energy, and spiritually very draining. So today was the day that I took care of myself, did some self-care work, and welcomed in some light towards the tail end of my walk, which was just wonderful. So I'm going to restart the fireplace right here. I'm going to light these 3 candles. I have yellow, green, and red. The yellow and red combine, combine means orange. So orange is for health, vitality, strength. The yellow candle, these are all dressed. What I mean by dressing, I will show here. You can see I've put some energy into it, frankincense, some oils. The yellow represents spirituality, our lighter side of our inner self, going to that higher level of spirituality. That's our yellow candle. Our red candle, it's also dressed as well. You can see right there. And the red represents fire, love, movement within. It's a different kind of healing. Red could be of emotional healing of the heart. So I want to bring this candle in specifically as we are in the month of February, for Valentine's Day, for anything that you want to draw of love, self-love, or love for those around you who aren't near you. This candle I bring in for this day of Imbolc. And then the green candle, I'll show you again, which has been dressed there. Green represents earth, fertility, the beginnings of abundance, and nurturing of our mother earthly essentials. We have our trees, we have our animals. So this represents the element of earth. I'm going to have these 2 candles here. There we go. As you can see, this black one is to release any negative energy for protection. I have the orange candle here, which you see representing, again, healing, the combination of the red and yellow, but to draw in good health. I feel during this time of the year, as our seasons are still on the colder side, we need that warmth. We need that We need that strong, fiery source to help us, to heal us. So I have this orange candle here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around clockwise, north, east. Now these colors don't represent, with the exception of the green candle, not facing north, I'm facing actually west. But here, hypothetically, I'm putting this as the first candle representing north energy, earth energy. The red candle to represent, as I mentioned, love, healing of the heart, surrounding ourselves with inner light, inner love, compassion. This I have set up so it's on the eastern part of this setup, of this altar. I have a gold candle here, which I've been burning actually since Yule. So gold to bring in that vitality, that healing energy, the warmth energy of the sun. So I'm using this to represent the sun. Then our yellow candle on the east side, I'm sorry, on the west side, representing spirituality, conscious connectionness. And then I'm going to end with these two candles, which I'll let burn for the duration of the time that I'm doing this reading that I have set up for you. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to reignite the fireplace because I want to keep the fire going. And then probably about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to talk a little bit more. I will explain the reading that I'm doing here, which I'm calling the Bridge of Imbolc. And I will explain why I gave it that title. And I'm just going to do an intuitive reading. And the intuitive reading is going to be based on the energy of more light, healing, strength, vitality as we transition from winter, mid-late winter right now, and as we slowly ease our way towards spring within the next 6 weeks. All right, so let me get this fireplace going, and then I will talk a little bit about Imbolc, and then we'll start the reading. Okay, we'll see how long that'll last. And I'm going to drink a little bit of water before we get started. And I don't want to keep going back and forth, but I may have to make another attempt to keep it going. Oh, that's so beautiful. It feels so good. So here we are for Imbolc. Okay, so I'm going to do the rotation of the candles to start. Powers of the North, thank you for guiding us during this winter season. Keeping the earth fresh, nutrient. with snow and rain, preparing us for the spring season. Thank you, powers of the North, for your strength and guidance. Calling the energies of the East, of air. Here's a candle of love, compassion, and healing. I send this energy out to each and every one who's watching this at this time, for those who need healing, for those who want love in their life to whatever level that may be, to whatever capacity. It's self-love, the love of others, showing kindness to others. Thank you, powers of the East, of air, to send out all that love and compassion out to the universe, to those who need it. Calling powers of the West. I light this candle, this yellow candle, for spirituality, inner guidance, and for lightness of being during anyone's practice. This yellow candle I have dressed with oils and incense to represent the spirit of the soul and the guidance that it can use during its spiritual journey. So thank you, spirits of the East, powers of the East, powers of the West. Thank you so much for your guidance. Here's our orange candle. For health, inner and outer health. Black candle I light for protection during this time. Thank you, powers of the North, South, East, and West, for being here on this beautiful Imbolc evening, a day where we celebrate the first light of winter. And then here I have, I'm just going to move this so you can see. Go this way. And there I have my wreath, still hanging strong from Yule, with the berries showing abundance and fertility. So I bring that in for this evening of Imbolc. Okay, so here, so Imbolc has a very interesting relationship for me, specifically because of my last name. My last name is a shortened version of my birth name, and my last name is Candela. I'm not going to state my full birth last name. Candela means light, and there's just something very unique in having that last name, and also to use that name in celebration of a day where it is the first light of winter, and a name that shows of guidance and strength and energy. And so the candela aspect of my last name means a lot to me, to my practice, and as I mentioned, for this particular day. And my background is Spanish, and I believe this week, in some Spanish cultures, they do, it's called, I believe, the Festival of the Candelaria. And so it's a celebration of light. And I believe it's the last week of January into the first week of February. So they celebrate, it's more in honor of saints and those who are related of light and of higher spiritual practice. So Imbolc is just apropos for celebrating this time of the year. Now, for many traditions, this time of the year is considered to be the first day of spring. As I mentioned earlier, in the northern hemisphere here, we have full winter, and we don't get spring until later March. While southern hemisphere, countries like Australia, the Asian countries, Thailand, Brazil, countries in that area, they are in the midst of summer. So their celebration of Imbolc is quite different. They are getting the sun. They are in the full force of that first light of winter, but for them it's summer. So it's be interesting to see how someone who is in that hemisphere celebrates a season like this during their summer months at this time of the year. So I have a book here that I want to read a little bit from, and it brings in a little bit of history of Imbolc. And I've read from this before. I read a little bit during Samhain when I was doing a special Halloween event. So this is called Modern Witchcraft Guide to the Wheel of the Year, and it's by Judy Ann Knock. And she is on Instagram. She is known as Trance Sister. And she created this book, and she's done a few other readings relating to the witchcraft Wiccan practice. And so what I want to read here is just a little bit of the difference between the gods and goddesses and different kinds of practices. So I have here many sources report that Bridget, the goddess, was assimilated into Saint Bridget of Christian lore. Certainly there are striking similarities between the goddess and the saint, as I was mentioning about the celebration of the Candelaria to represent certain saints. The shrine of Saint Bridget in Kildare is attended by 19 nuns, echoing the exclusive female priesthood of the goddess Bridget. Bridget proved somewhat impossible for a single mortal woman to accomplish. Her legend claims she was born at sunrise and was so chaste a woman that she gouged out her own eyes in protest of her impending marriage and became a nun instead. I'm just going to jump a little bit and just read little bits and pieces, and then I'll go into this reading. Imbolc is also translated to in the belly. It's the preparation for birth. We have the light. We're getting ready for for more space, no darkness, less darkness. She's also, Bridget's also related to livestock, cattle that will be born during the spring months. And here, interestingly, it says, traditionally at this time, the initiation of the witch is enacted. It is a time for reflecting on the nature of initiation and the evolution of the magical path. Like the dark reflections of the water on the surface of the well, the energy of Imbolc implores us to look deeper and contemplate the associations of water, mental acuity, emotional stability, and psychic ability. These may also be seen as manifestations of the gifts of Bridget. A sharpening of the mind is akin to the creative energy of Bridget as a metalsmith. Also, too, in some countries, it's actually February 2nd that Imbolc is celebrated, also recognizing Groundhog Day, but I believe that depends on which year the season falls in. Here, to access the power of Bridget, the healer, people would leave ribbons or strips of cloth outdoors to catch the early morning dew and the first light of dawn. These ribbons were referred to as a bride, meaning Bridget's cloak, and were placed on the body to cure ailments. Front doors were often left open to entice Bridget to enter. Often ashes from the fire were gathered and spread upon the doorsteps on February Eve, January 31st. In the morning, if any footprints appeared in the ashes, this was taken to mean that Bridget had indeed visited and was considered a promise of good fortune. So that's just a little bit about some of the different traditions and meanings of Bridget and how she influences Imbolc. The day before, January 31st, today the 1st, and February 2nd. So this is a lovely read. It has various kinds of rituals that you could do on your own. So again, this is the Modern Witchcraft Guide, Wheel of the Year. And it's not a heavy book. It just goes through different traditions in different countries of the 8 Sabbats. So they start with Samhain and they end with Yule, and they go through all the Sabbats of the season. So it's quite a wonderful book. Alrighty, I'm going to drink some water again, and then I'm going to get into this reading for Imbolc. And again, my focus on this reading is going to be on the energies of fire and ice. And I will explain where I got that concept. I was watching Mickie Mueller, who has a channel here on YouTube. And she's also on Instagram. She's a creative artist, illustrator. She has a shop on Etsy. And I put the link in this channel to where I got the idea to do fire and ice for Imbolc. She did a special episode today showing different rituals, meaning behind Imbolc. And she kept referring to fire and ice, and that made so much sense. because we are actually, as I mentioned earlier, we are transitioning slowly from our winter season, which started December 21st for Yule, winter solstice, and we're slowly moving our way to our spring equinox, Ostara, which takes place the third week of March. It starts on a different day. Sometimes it falls on the equinox, but it's usually the day before or after. So she was explaining the energy of fire and ice, or fire and water, but specifically ice, because we are in the winter months. And Mickie went on to explain, which I thought was a beautiful description, how we know water in its natural form, rain, shower, is emotional, intuitive. It moves those energies within ourselves. It can also destroy if not used or understood properly or respected. But when it comes to ice, we're talking about frozen water. And she mentioned about frozen emotions, in a sense. Things that are just encased in ice. Okay, water that does not have a place to move because it is frozen, it is solidified, and it is just there until heat, light, fire comes in, vitality comes in, and starts dissolving that water, starts dissolving that energy that has been encased, that has been frozen, that hasn't had that opportunity to actually release and to be let go of. So winter for a lot of people can be difficult because of that. You're dealing with so much different kinds of energies that are going on. And winter, I've explained before, winter I feel is a month of where it should be movement. Winter is when you start planning, you start preparing for the spring. When you have that frozen kind of energy, frozen water, those emotions, they don't have a place to go. They just remain stagnant. There has to come a point, and this is the day that it happens on Imbolc, where that first ray of light comes in, warmth, whether it's through a hearth, a fireplace, or candles. It's time to release all of those emotions and let it go. Let it melt away. Let it dissolve away. Or if it's encased, it opens up so that you can see it clearly. You have the light source. The light has encased, the ice has encased those feelings. And now when heat and light comes into it, it dissolves it, and it exposes any hurt, any pain, any discomfort emotionally that you're having. And having the strength, because of the fire and light and sun influence, the strength to deal, to work through it, and to move on from it. So that was my interpretation of fire and ice through Mickie Mueller's episode that she did today for Imbolc. So I have the link there. Take a look at it. She also has a wonderful ritual where she created some ice lanterns, and you'll see. I don't want to give it all away, but it's quite beautiful, and it's a very ritualistic way to deal with those frozen emotions, those frozen feelings, and how to dissolve it and melt it away. So take a look at that when you can, if you're interested. All right, so I'm going to start with this reading. And I have two decks I'm going to be working with specifically. One's an oracle deck. This is the Witch's Oracle that I'm going to be working with. And then I have the Witch's Wisdom deck. And what I will be doing is, as I'm shuffling and speaking to you, I'm going to be focusing on healing and light, releasing any emotional discomfort so that you have that space to see the light and to heal. So it's a Witch's Oracle. And what I'm going to do is, interesting enough, with the Witch's Wisdom, it's a tarot deck, but you can almost use it as a oracle deck as well, because it has its own system. It has a major and minor arcana, but the classic representation of those cards, or of those different arcanum, is different. So what I decided to do is, because Imbolc is such an important time of the year for many, and it is the awakening towards spring, I decided to just, this is all going to be an intuitive reading. I don't do layouts or anything. I decided just to work with the major arcana of the Witch's Wisdom deck. And then, if called upon, I will go into the minor arcana. I will go into the second arcanum of the Witch's Wisdom for some more guidance. So that's the approach that I'm going to take with these readings here. And the reason why I call it the bridge of Imbolc is because, again, Imbolc is the bridging, is the transitioning path between our winter Yule season and moving towards our spring Ostara season in about 6 weeks. So the cards that I will pull tonight will reflect this time of transition from ice, dark, contractive energy into fire, light, vitality, and expanding energy. Okay. So what I think I will do first is, let's go, and I'm just going to pull from the Witch's Oracle. I'm calling in the powers that be. Powers of the north for earth, east for air, south for fire, west for water. I call upon you for guidance during this reading for Imbolc. The womb, what we are preparing to give birth to. What's the guidance for everyone during this season? Okay, I just mentioned that Imbolc, when translated, means the womb. So the card that I pulled just now is the cauldron, the womb. I'm going to move closer so you can see this, and I apologize for the reflection. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the cards that I am pulling. So we have the cauldron, and then we have our creatrix behind. She has her staff, and she has her goblet. The scene is the scene here we have is in a wheat field. Harvest, abundance. The staff with the snake around it is movement of energy. The goblet is to represent the cauldron, to represent the emotions. Our cauldron is the center force where we place all that creative energy. And then we see our six-pointed star. We're creating balance, masculine and feminine energy. So, the cauldron, we have the basis to manifest, to create what we want to draw towards us, and also what to release. This is a position of where, as I mentioned, what's the energy source? Use the source that will be of the best guidance for you. Use all those four elements: fire, air, water, earth. Pull in those sources, place it in the cauldron, place it in the womb, the Imbolc. What are the four things that you desire the most? Place it in that womb, place it in that cauldron. You send that energy out. And you work on it. You work on those desires. You work on those powers that you want to bring out come spring. And stay focused on it. Between now, Imbolc and Ostara, draw that energy. Harness, manifest. This is the time. This is the time of the season to do this. All right, so it's very interesting. It is the season, the cauldron, the womb. Center the belly where things are created. Fertility. Calling in the powers of the north, east, south, and west. What is your guide through the witch's wisdom for everyone during this season of Imbolc? During this time of transition from ice to fire. What is your guiding source for us? Oh, beautiful. Okay, this is from the witch's wisdom. Can I turn this so you can see it? This shows the wheel of the year. Oh, I'm so sorry you cannot see this properly. Okay. There we go. Wheel of the year. And another appropriate card to show the cycles that we go through. And here we have reference to the various Sabbats. Here we can say this is spring. We have the transitory time, summer, fall, period of winter, fall into winter. Winter, sorry, I'm pointing the wrong way. Winter towards where we are right now, Imbolc. You'll see 3 candles there. And then we have Ostara. Let me go this way here. So sorry. And then we have Ostara here, spring, Beltane, summer, Lunisad, so on and so forth. So this is a wonderful card to represent where we are right now in our cycles during the season and what is so important during this time of the year. It's a reminder of the cauldron, the womb, that during these Sabbats that we have here, from Samhain all the way to Yule, to use these seasonal powers for releasing, for healing, for creating, for manifesting what we truly desire. And traditionally, we would see the wheel of life and the tarot as karmic action. What have we done previously during these Sabbats? So for instance, between Yule and Imbolc, let's take the meaning of the wheel of the year, or wheel of life, I'm sorry. What energy has been manifested so far between Yule and Imbolc? Has it been action that has been beneficial to you and that's going to continue moving in the realm of healing and prosperity? Or has it been actions that haven't been carefully thought out, that has held you back, and that's still keeping you frozen, keeping you encased, not allowing you to move emotionally, mentally, spiritually? This is the time that we start coming out. We're still in the cocoon phase during the season, but we're still creating, we're still growing inside that cocoon. And so that's what I'm saying during the winter months. Winter months is that time, even though we're encapsulated in a sense, we're still creating, we're still doing an active action. We're spiritually being creative, manifesting, we're getting ready to go into this season of Ostara. This is so difficult. There we go, the season of Ostara, right there. To release, for fertility, to give birth. So this is a time that we need to work on those energies and to release and to let go and to grow. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pull another card. I'm feeling called to go into the Witch's Oracle, and I think I'll do one more for the Witch's Wisdom. Okay, so here we are for the Witch's Oracle. Calling in the energies of fire, air, water, and earth. Thank you, powers that be, that you were able to guide us, to show us the cauldron, the womb. Any other suggestions during this season of healing and rejuvenation that we need to know about? Show us now. I pulled here, Book of Shadows. It's another form of release. Writing down what is holding you back. Writing down those experiences. I don't necessarily have a book of shadows. I do have a tarot journal, but to me that is not a book of shadows. That's more of guidance for me. Book of shadows can also be guidance, but I feel people who do shadow work and they do create a book of shadows, it's for them to really explore their deepest, darkest side. And this is the time, this is the season, from winter solstice to Imbolc to Ostara, that, as I mentioned, we tend to be more internal, tend to be more contracting and more closed in. But it's also time to be reflective and to write down what you're experiencing, what you're feeling. For many of you who have a tarot or divination practice, this is a time where you start looking for inner guidance. You're looking for that light. And here we have the guidance, the candle in the distance. And we have the roses, the flowers, the show of beauty and fertility and spiritual strength. These two sources are very important guides to help you through your journey, to see the light through the shadows, but also to write down how you feel. I don't know if anyone, when it comes to their book of shadows, at some point, if they decide to just, if they feel like they've completed their journey, if they actually keep the book of shadows or if they actually burn, get rid of it. I did this past year from 2020. I burned my date book. I had 2 date books with me with different influences, and I burned both of those. Not so much because 2020 was what it was, but it's time to let go of that year. And I'll do the same for the end of this year when we go into 2022. It's the past. And fire is such an empowering, a destructive tool, but also a wonderful means of release. There's something that when you throw things of your past, your thoughts, any energy, negative energy that you no longer need, you throw it in that fire, there's just something very wonderful about it. And that's what I love with fire. And it feels good. It's a release, and then there's a calming aspect that comes from it. It's healing, and then you get that vitality again. It's like, okay, it's gone. It's done. No trace is remaining from that. It is burned. It is gone. So just to kind of go back here, this is our card to represent our season of Imbolc, a time of creativity, working with our 4 elements to manifest what we want, to draw in, but also to let go. And then our book of shadows. Writing down. It could be your tarot journal, it could be your personal journal, it could be your shadow work journal. But use this experience as guides to let go, release, and to heal. And use the candle to find the beauty within. And then once you find that, it manifests from the inside out. People will start seeing that, and they will see that shadow side, that dark side gone, and seeing the beauty within. Okay, so I'm going to do one more. Okay, from the Witch's Wisdom. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful start into February 1st. And if not, bring in that energy. Bring in, I don't want to be in this situation anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want to feel good. What do I have to do? Remember fire and ice. Any frozen energy that can't move, any frozen emotions that can't move, use that fiery, use the fuel within you, that light that you have. We all have it. You just got to find it and light it. The wick is there. You just need that inner vitality to light it. All right. So this is from the Witch's Wisdom. I felt called to work with only the major arcana. Oh, beautiful. Alrighty, so the card that I pulled, first card I had from the reading was the Wheel of Life. I'm sorry, you just can't see this here. The Wheel of Life representing the 8 Sabbats of this season. And we have from winter, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, summer, Minnesod, fall, and then back to Yule again. This is Samhain right over here. I'm sorry, I know this is opposite. So we have our 8 Sabbats here. This is the card that I pulled from here to represent all these energies during the Sabbats and how to utilize those sources during those seasons for manifesting, for healing, and also for letting go. Okay, this is the second card that I pulled. It's a card of offering, giving back. Once you've felt the abundance. Hi, Susan, how are you? I am not doing a reading. This is a specific episode that I'm doing to celebrate the energy of Imbolc. So the readings that I'm doing right here is specific for this season. So feel free to listen, but I'm not doing any personal readings tonight. So my apologies for that, but I'm here to celebrate and welcome in the Sabbath of Imbolc. So with the offering here, I'm trying to tilt this in such a way. With the offering here, what we're doing is we're giving back. We've been graciously blessed with what we've experienced, what we've received, the journey that we've gone through. And we see our guide here, watching over us and watching what this individual is giving back and showing gratitude, graciousness towards the healing, towards the freedom that this person has felt because of letting go and moving on. You know, when you feel like everything has just fallen into place, you've found that job that just works for you. You're surrounded and blessed with a supportive group of people or an individual. You're in a wonderful environment. You have a wonderful home. You have a wonderful home. Whatever these things are that you feel grateful. You have good health. Give back. Give back to Mother Nature. Give an offering. You don't necessarily have to go outside if you're not in an environment where you can do such a thing. It's not too hard. You could go to the park or any place that you feel nature-wise connected to. You can always give back. What's wonderful here in this card is we have the spirit guide still there. This guy was probably watching this person as they went through their transitions and shifts. And this person stayed on the path. They stayed true to their heart, to their practice. It's time to give back. So this is the season, as I mentioned, that whatever comes to us, blessings, nurturing, things that have been of sustenance for us, and it has been beneficial in your life. Acknowledge the source where it came from. You could give an offering to yourself, and that offering to yourself is showing respect for yourself, so showing gratitude, showing love for yourself. But also remember the guides that listened to you. Acknowledge them to whatever source that may be. Your God, your goddess, animal companion, if it was a source of inspiration for you, food. Create a little altar. To give thanks. And what's interesting is, for some reason, this particular Imbolc, as I'm talking to you, just seems very, very special and very humbling for me. This winter season so far has been very hard up here in the mountains, especially in the last week with the amount of storms that we've had. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it was very hard on me, physically and spiritually, and put me into that dark place of not feeling grateful. It's like, oh, all this winter, all the storms, all this, all that. But once you've come to terms with it, and you acknowledge the challenge that has come upon me, that came upon me, the outcome is when all this melts away, it's feeding back into the earth. Bring this back here. It's feeding back into the earth. It's going to give sustenance to the land, to the trees, to the birds. It's going to provide food for the animals. It's going to provide a healing environment for where I live. And that's beneficial right there. It's the outcome that I will probably see in the springtime. Now, here we go with the Wheel of Life. It's our seasonal transition. And then comes springtime, spring or summer, when we see the results of what Mother Nature has left with us. Hi, Debbie. Welcome back. We give back. This offering here is also maintaining what Mother Nature has supplied to us, that will be showing us in the spring months. I don't have a garden. I don't have any vegetables or anything like that in this backyard. But it is a wonderful experience to see the transformation that happens now between Imbolc and spring. So that for me is the offering, maintaining this throughout the spring, summer months, watering, caring for the land. What's outside my windows is very beautiful for me. And so my way of an offering is giving back and maintaining this, taking care of it. Okay, I've been talking for almost an hour. I'm going to probably wrap this up. Enlightening future nurses. I am not taking questions. This is a special event that I'm doing on YouTube to welcome in for the pagan holiday. It's not really a holiday, the pagan celebration of Imbolc, which is welcoming in the first light of winter, which took place today. So I'm not doing any readings, so my apologies for that. If you come back on Wednesday, I'm going to give a little sneak peek. This Wednesday, I'm going to be joined with another tarot reader, and we're going to be doing live readings this Wednesday. So if you want to come back on Wednesday, I'm going to put, a post about it, and so that you could come back and myself and this tarot reader, who I'm keeping quiet right now, you can come back on Wednesday, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, for readings, if you want to wait. If not, I'm not doing any readings tonight. So, but thank you. Debbie 777. Yes. Well, welcome back from work. Please drive carefully, get home safely. So I'm actually wrapping up. I started at 6:30, and if you probably saw in the description, this is a special reading that I've done to bring in Imbolc. I decided, based on the cards and what came up, to keep the reading very simple. So I'm using the Witch's Oracle and Witch's Wisdom. I'm using the Major Arcana portion of it because I felt drawn to work specifically with that arcana from that deck. So to recap really quickly, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I want to keep this short, and I want to spend the rest of the evening of Imbolc doing my own personal practice. So with the Witch's Oracle, it's the first card I pulled, Cauldron, the Womb. And Imbolc is interpreted as the womb. It's the source of where we are getting ready to give birth. We create, we nurture, we give sustenance, and then we release in the springtime. Second card from the same deck, Book of Shadows. Going from our Yule winter solstice time to Ostara, we're in this transitional period where it is time to let go. The key words that I'm using for this is the bridge of Imbolc. These cards are. It's a time of transitioning from ice, cold winter season, frozen emotions, things that are not moving, to fire, using that light source to melt the ice, anything that's been encapsulated that hasn't had a chance to really release and to be let go of. It's the time to bring it in from here on all the way to spring. So with the Book of Shadows, it's a time to, if you like, to write down how you're feeling. Writing down is also the action of movement. And you're acknowledging these feelings, whether you're very happy or very upset or, not content with things. You're writing it down, you're acknowledging it. By writing it down, you're slowly bringing attention and putting energy, putting light, and seeing right there, pen and paper, what those feelings look like and how you react to it and to let go of it, and finding the beauty within. The beauty coming through the flowers and the light source, the candle, for guidance. Okay, the first card I pulled from Witch's Wisdom. Going back again, Wheel of Life. Represents the 8 Sabbats, the 8 seasons that we go throughout the year. and using the energy of manifestation and letting go. During each of those times, Imbolc, we're in transition. Imbolc, Mabon, Lunisod, and Samhain. Those 4 Sabbats are transitional periods of our season. We're going to winter, spring. Spring to summer, Mabon. I'm sorry, Beltane. Lunisod, tail end of summer, early fall. It's usually the month of August. Beltane is in May. And then Samhain, fall slowly into our winter months. It's the last day of October, November into November 1st. Those are the 4 transitional Sabbats. We use that time as guidance as we move in and out of these seasons. Ending one, beginning another. We use those energies. That's when I feel they are at their most powerful. Imbolc, very strong right now. Spring, Ostara is when we release. Beltane, fertility. Everything's in full fruition. Lunisod, tail end of summer to fall. Harvest, taking in everything that we've grown between spring and summer, taking it in, preparing for the fall, and then, of course, Samhain, the new year, beginning this cycle again. The last card I pulled, the offering, giving back. Giving back to the universe, to the earth, to your God, goddesses, for each season. Show respect, acknowledge, show graciousness for what they have given to you. So that wraps up my Imbolc reading and paying homage to our first light of winter. I will probably do this again for Ostara. We'll see what between now and Ostara, how things transition and how things manifest. For those who are watching this, if you are doing a similar practice or have a ritual during these seasons, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to know how this time has been working for you. Maybe write down, we have the Book of Shadows, but write down maybe in your journal any shifts that you've noticed. Seasonally, we're going through all sorts of changes outside of the weather. It's also internally what's going on within us. So this is a transitory time with Imbolc. And it's a time of lightness. We start bringing more lightness as we move away from, again, the contracting, dark energy of winter. But it's also winter time. It's a time to keep things moving, creating, getting ready for spring. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week, a wonderful Imbolc. I'm available to do readings. I have a Wheel of the Year reading that I can bring in specifically. I call it the Witch's Wheel of the Year, where I can work on the Sabbats itself and do a reading to showcase what's going to be going on during that time. I could customize it for each person who's interested in that. And that I have on my website, and then I have an astrological Wheel of the Year where I work with the signs and planets during the 12 months of the year, astrological year. So all that's on my website description. I have a Patreon account that I really need to start pushing. So I have that available. I'm on Instagram, all that stuff. So for everyone who's watching, thank you again. Appreciate your support for watching. I know it's a bit late for a lot of people, but if you're watching this afterwards, I greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon. As I mentioned, this Wednesday, I'm going to be doing readings with a fellow cohort tarot reader, and that will be live. So we'll be doing live readings at that time. All right, have a blessed night. Happy, blessed Imbolc. Remember, use that light to melt ice, frozen energy, frozen emotions, anything that's holding you back, so that you have that space to move and grow in a higher